I'm moving on here with my input-output controls. This is the arrangement for linking the left and right channels. And on the right is the output control. And the way these work is they have this cogged gear arrangement connecting the two left and right channels. And when one or the other controls are operated, they both operate together. And then there's a little clutch that will allow them to be fine-tuned and then operate together. And there's the clutch right there. And then they operate together after they're adjusted. And that makes it really nice for doing fade-ins and fade-outs with one hand, which a lot of us have done in our compilations. The problem with these is they're not directly replaceable. I've tried my best to find new parts, but I can't. I can get the, I can get the components, but I can't get the shaft length. And because of these two hubs, I can't get, I can't machine a new stub or a new shaft that will work easily without remachining those gears also. So I'm trying to make sure that these will be okay in the deck the way they are. And this is my old Lafayette meter that I bought when I was probably 12 or 13, 14 years old. And I'm using it because I prefer analog needles to linear LCD animations on the fluke when I'm doing this sort of thing. And what I'm looking for, of course, is dropouts on these potentiometers. I go slowly up and down. Of course, these are audio tapers, so that's how they'll look. And that one looks pretty good. That's the output control. And I just want to check the other side of the wiper here, and it also looks good. I'll move on to the input controls. That looks good. I like that. Now, these are the problematic ones to replace if I need to. It can be done, but it's a lot of extended effort and time to do them. Okay, left channel looks good, right channel looks good. Both wiper sets look good. So let's go back and let's check the opposite channel, because this is a 2-gang or a stereo control on the output. And these sounded clean when I tested it. I didn't perceive any problems, so and there we go. And there's my problem right there. So you can watch the meter go up, and then as I continue to go up, it has a dropout in it. And that's a dirty carbon or dirty contact. And that's what I want to know. That's why I'm checking these. Just strictly for the video to show how I can come up and then it will drop out. Okay, slowly you come up and it comes up to that point and then it drops out as I continue going further. So that's just showing that it's dirty on the extreme, essentially the right side of that. That part of that output potentiometer would never really be used in real life. It's at the extreme between maybe the 9 and 10 mark, and it would not get used, and that's probably why it's dirty. I'll give it a shot of Zep cleaner here. if I don't need to change these out, I'm not going to. In fact, on the two inputs, I'm not even going to clean them because there's no reason to. They're fine. I can glean a lot of information from the resistance in the damping grease, and these feel like brand new potentiometers. This deck didn't get that much use. I can tell that. Every component in here that I've looked at tells me that it just didn't get a lot of use. And so I'm going to leave these if I can. If this output pot will clean up, I'll leave it in there. If not, I'll wait until I get my order in for the new ones and replace it. But I think it'll be okay. Give it a couple more shots here. And again, the scratchiness, the dropouts are outside of the range where this would ever be operated. But once they start, they tend to want to, kind of motivate their way inside. So, and that looks good. That looks good. Maybe not exactly where I want it. Let's give it one more try. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, that's full deflection. It's right where it's supposed to be. So now I'll use a little bit of this Deoxit fader lube, which is the only one that Deoxit recommends on any carbon potentiometers of any kind. Not the red, not the gold, only this particular one. And then I sprayed it, I checked it. It looks good. I think I'm just going to stick with that. Okay, let's work on our tape type selectors and the other switches in there. I didn't have problems with these either. I'm lubricating them for service. I'm not even cleaning them because I don't need to. Those 5 have openings where I can get some lubricant. The other 3 in the middle, which are the tape type selectors, do not. And so I want to lubricate these. And so I'll drill a little hole. I measured my syringe. It's about 35 thousandths. And so I'll pick a 35 thousandths drill. It's about a 32nd. And I could do these by hand, but I really don't want to. I'm just going to put them in a drill and just go slowly and gently and just pop a little hole in the back of them. This is for mechanical lubrication. This has nothing to do with cleaning contacts or anything like that. Like anything, these switches have moving parts, and with no lubrication in there at all, they eventually will, they'll have problems. So I'm using the Deoxit Gold, which is mostly a lubricant. I don't think it has much cleaning capacity to it. Maybe a tiny bit, but not very much. But I'm not trying to clean here. There's no problems with these. I just want to lubricate them so that they'll continue to work the way they do. And blast some air in there. And then the other ones that are exposed, I'm just going to put a little drop in there, and then I'll blast that in there with some compressed air, operate them, and then on the fronts, there's a little U-shaped pin there that engages a ramp to create the hold function. And there's a tiny triangular projection that's not repairable that operates that stop mechanism. And these switches are also not replaceable. And so I'm doing that to lube those and give them another lifetime or two. Just cleaning up any of the excess material on there. There's a little white spot on that LED. I don't know if I need to resolder it or if it's just clean, and it cleans up. So I'm not worried about it. Could have been anything. Clean them up. And I just want to seal those 3 holes I drilled. I'll just put a little spot of polyurethane tape on there. They feel excellent. Maybe while I'm here, I'll just give it the blue treatment on all the contacts. This is the S100L, I believe. Clean those off with alcohol, and then just put a little tiny spot of green polyurethane tape on there to seal them back up. Moving on to the meter lamps. These are actually operational on this deck, but they're old and I want to replace them. 2 screws and 1 connector is all it takes to get that meter out. And there is some, I assume it's acid-free tape, just holding them on the bottom. The lenses are actually held in by the bezel when it's on there. So this is really just to put them in place. And I'll just pull that tape off. These are 8 volt, 55 milliamp lamps. And it's really a mistake to put a higher amperage lamp in here. I see them advertised all over 100 milliamp, 250 milliamp. The factory calls for 55 milliamp. And that's the current rating that really should be used in this situation. This is the process of changing out the lamps using the existing end caps because they're not available anymore. Not everybody will want to do this. This is really just for restoration and, purposes of trying to make it look exactly the way it was. On my own decks and the ones I service, unless I'm asked to do it, I don't do it this way, but just in case anybody wants to, it's a simple process. Removing the old end caps. I'm just using my rework station here. Anything will work. Even a lighter would work just to heat these up enough to remove them. Most of the time they actually come off with the lamp intact. So heat it up. There's a little bit of adhesive in there that needs to be heated up and broken off, and there it is. It pops off. And it can be put right back on the old lamp, or the new lamp. Now turn it around, let's see how hot it is. Yep, it's not bad. What I should have done here is put the other end cap back on before I clamped it. And I really kind of over tightened it, and I ended up breaking the lamp. It's not a loss because it was a bad lamp, but it can be done without breaking it and having to go back and kind of dig the old glass out. And there I broke it off. I got in a hurry. It's easy to get the glass out of there. I just kind of manipulate, open up the lead end, and then go inside and just pull it out. Get it warm. And then it just falls off. Just like that. And that can be put right on the new lamp without a problem, if you wish to do it this way. And just continuing with it. I'm going to pop it in there. I'll put a little bit of flux on the end. And I'll tin these leads. I'll tin these leads either way. A bit of flux, tin it. Pop the cap on. Get just a tiny bit more flux. Some guys will wrap the lead around the end, and that's fine if you want to do it. That's all it takes. I give it a pretty good amount of solder there. Oh, that moved a little bit. Let's get it back on there. And there it is. That's all it takes. Snip the ends off. There it is. Let there be light. And he saw that it was good. Excellent. And there's our amperage and voltage correct as specified. All right, let's go on and clean up our lenses. Looking to see if I see any scratches that need to come out. And I really don't. They're not bad. I'm taping the insides off. Those are fine. I don't need to deal with those. This is what I'm using here. This is the 3M process that I use, part 1, part 2, and part 3. And what I'll do is, there's a little tiny one right there, but I can't, it's not catching my thumbnail, so I think it will come out without any additional sanding or buffing. What I'll do is I'll buff it with the first compound, and if I see that it doesn't come out, then I'll deal with it at that point. And I've got this speeded up. This takes, it takes a little bit of time. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Same compound, recharge the pad. Now this one I do see a little scratch on that I didn't see before. So I'm going to take my 3000 grit, again 3M film, and buff it out, or sand it out. So I did that, and then I did end up taking it down on the buffer and getting that scratch out. Interesting, it wasn't really visible until I hit it with the compound, and then it showed up. So now I need to bring it back up to the same level that the other one is. That looks good. Move on to the number 2. This is orange pad. These colors are different from company to company. This is just what I've found to work in my own situation. These will end up looking probably actually better than brand new. I don't think that the factory went to this extent. I think they probably just cast them and call it good. Okay, go with a yellow or black, either one, pad on the number 3. And this is just a swirl remover. It doesn't do any cutting, I don't think, at least extremely fine cutting. Yeah, it looks really nice. These look beautiful. And before I did this, probably saw I blew it off a little bit because I don't want any of the particles of the other compounds getting back in here and scratching it up anymore. All right, I'm happy with that. Let this set for a little while. Let it dry out, almost like a wax, but this doesn't have any wax in it. Just clean them up, clean all the edges out. And those are absolutely beautiful. almost like a watch crystal. Let's see, maybe I can zoom in here and give a little bit better shot of it. Yeah, they're just beautiful. Now let's see if we can focus through this and oh yeah, there you are. Look at that. All right, that's enough bragging about your polishing prowess. Let's move on and show how to do these lamps without changing out the end caps. I'll just clean these up with a little alcohol. I'm going to solder directly to solder the leads directly to the contacts here. So I'm cleaning them up. I'll put just a little drop of flux on it. This is again my RA paste flux, non-corrosive. And I'll tin these. Now, clean my solder, or solder, however you prefer. Just quickly in and out, tin them. I want to tin my lamp leads, so I'll clean them first. And again, just a drop of that flux. And when I get done tinning these, what I'll do is bend a little, maybe like an S shape or an L shape or something like that. Just bend a little relief in that lead so that when they're soldered in place, they're not soldered in tension. I just want to give them a little bit of relief for thermal expansion so that they can move, get hot and cold, and move without being in any sort of tension. Every material that I'm aware of has some thermal coefficient, and to some degree at least. And so I'm trying just to not cause any metal fatigue on these leads. It's just I'll see if I can zoom in here and just show, there it is. It's just a little bend, and that will allow it to wiggle, to move in and out without having any sort of tension. Just kind of setting the leads down against their adherent. I don't want them, again, I don't want them floating in a blob of solder. I want them as close, I want them in contact with their mate if possible. And that's what I'm trying to do. Just like that. Oh, that one moved a little bit. Let's bring it back and center it. Now push that lead back down. And there they are. Come on, focus. And that's really all it takes. This is how I do my own decks and for others, unless I'm asked to do the end cap replacement. Quickly clean that off with a little alcohol. Test them. They look good. Okay, let's just clean off the faces of those meters. I'm just grabbing a paintbrush, clean, dry. That's all I'm doing, just brushing them off. I saw one little tiny speck in there that I wanted to get off, and that's mainly why I'm doing this. I'll give them a tiny, tiny blast of air. This is probably less than my breath would be. Now quickly blow off the inside of the lens and set it on the meter body as fast as I can so that no dust gets in between them. And then just set that factory tape back down. I'm putting this on there so that I can hold them down without touching the meter with my claw-like fingers that would probably scratch the lenses. And that's all it takes. It's a very fast, very simple process to change out those meter lamps. And yeah, you'll see those meters jump up there, a little bit of static electricity when I pull that tape off. That's kind of fun. Those will settle back down in a second. And set them back into place here. And somebody may wonder why I wrote the word flat on that chassis, and that's because that screw slot in front of it takes a flathead screw, and it was the only one there. And so I wanted to make sure that I put the right screw back in the right slot. And those are in slots, and so they give you some adjustment. And I just want to line them up and make them parallel to the front of the case. And that's it. And they are serviced and cleaned and polished and really very lovely.